It is the Friday wrap-up. We've got 9 games. Welcome to Stuff It, a fantasy basketball podcast brought to you as always by FanDuel and part of the Old Man Squad. Go and subscribe on YouTube and download on the audio platforms, Spotify, Google, whatever you use. Give this video a thumbs up. Give all of our videos thumbs up. Dan loves thumbs up, doesn't he? Keep him happy. Keep him happy. We have 9 games. The 9th game is still going. I would have recorded this earlier, but the bloody Dallas Mavericks and the Clippers painfully went into double overtime. We will cover that game. But let's start with game number 1. Let's bring it up, shall we? The Brooklyn Nets. They lose. No real big surprise, 105-98. Now, they were actually winning this game for a significant portion, and then they realised they're meant to be losing. And I think the Magic scored like the last 12 points or something. So well done, Brooklyn. 105-98 was the final score. We know for the Nets that there's sort of, toing and froing, umming and ahhing on who we want to roster. Nick Claxton and Michael Porter are our 2 must-roster players. And then Noah Clowney is probably pushing his way into that discussion. He had 12 points here, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. Didn't shoot the ball well, 2 of 8 from the field, but hit all 6 of his free throws, 27 minutes. Look, if this is his floor, then this is fine. So I think we can probably add him at the moment and you sort of take it on a week-by-week basis when it comes to him. The rest of these guys, Terrence Mann had 12 points with 2 blocks. Weird line for him. Zaire Williams, 15 points with 3 steals. Day'Ron Sharpe, he's not playing enough to be rostered. I don't think you can trust anyone here outside of Claxton, Porter, and potentially Clowney. Let's get to the Magic. Of course, no Paolo Banchero. We don't really, he's day-to-day, whatever. He's out for a couple of weeks, isn't he, if we're being honest. Desmond Bane was fine. I won't say he was good, but he was better than he was to start the season and probably not as good as he has been the last week to 2 weeks. 19 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. You would expect a little bit more from him, especially when there's no Paolo there. Jalen Suggs had 14 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists in his 28 minutes. Those minutes are creeping up, which is good. I mean, he was a must-roster player anyway, but if we can get him close to 30 minutes, that obviously raises his ceiling a little bit. Wagner, we don't need to talk about him. Wendell Carter, one of his poorer games, 7 points, 5 rebounds, no defensive stats. So, yes, we forget about this one. More encouraging, though, or the one encouraging thing is the fact that he played 32 minutes. So, as we've said all season, no one is really coming for his minutes at this point. Gogi Bitadze had 6 and 8 with 2 blocks, but only 16 minutes for him. So I think we're pretty safe with Wendell Carter. Tristan Da Silva had 22 points, 9 rebounds. He's been up and down, but with no Paolo there, he's going to get an opportunity. 32 minutes for him. So I don't mind taking a bit of a flyer on him. Certainly no guarantees. It could be Anthony Black that steps up in the next game. No one else is really going to step up there, if we're being honest. So I don't mind sort of taking a chance on Tristan Da Silva and Anthony Black. I think if you picked him up, probably hold him and give him another game or 2. But we've seen enough from Anthony Black over the last couple of years to know that there are some pretty big highs and some pretty low lows when it comes to his overall value. All right, let's go to the next game, the Heat and the Knicks. The Knicks do get the win in the end, 140-132 without Jalen Brunson. But let's start with the Heat. Norm Powell basically just did everything. 0 assists, 38 points. That's great, isn't it? He's just looking to score, which he has to, honestly. If we're looking at this team now, there's not a lot of offensive or consistent offensive threats on the team. Davion Mitchell had 11 assists, so we're holding him at the moment for that purpose. Andrew Wiggins was fine. Pele Larson, I think I picked him up in a league. 14 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, 3 threes, 24 minutes. He's sort of doing enough. I would probably have him over Nikola Jovic at the moment. Jovic only played 13 minutes. I know he had that huge game it was either earlier in the week or last week. But at the moment, that's a pure outlier. So I actually would have Larson over him. Kalel Ware, we know that this is probably a bit of a sell high while Bam is out. Huckares continued his really strong season, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 9 of 20 shots. None of us saw this coming in the preseason, but you enjoy it. Try and move him if you can, because once Bam is back and once Tyler Hero is back, Huckares will likely regress to being... Look, maybe he's worth having on a roster, but he's certainly not going to be doing what he's done over the last few weeks. All right, for the Knicks. So as we are fully aware, there was no Jalen Brunson and likely won't be any Jalen Brunson for at least a couple of weeks. So it was Miles McBride that started. But it was not Miles McBride that stood up here. McBride had 9 points, 4 assists. If you picked him up, I would hold him. He played 30 minutes, so that's probably the biggest takeaway here. Bridges, Towns, they're going to be huge. And OG Anunoby actually left this game as well with an injury, so only lasted 5 minutes. If he misses time, then you have to have McBride. You have to have Landry Shamet. Josh Hart should be rostered everywhere anyway, and Jordan Clarkson thrusts himself onto the radar. Let's start with Shamet, who had 36 points on 12 of 19 shooting. Didn't do a lot else. Points, threes, free throws. He'd been playing okay. As I said, if OG misses time here, I think Shamet probably is a priority. If he doesn't, if OG is back for the next game, then I still don't mind taking a flyer on Shamet, but this is going to be a mixture of Shamet, McBride, Clarkson, probably sharing the load a bit. That you can see the minutes were up there for Clarkson and Shamet. If I just scroll down a bit, Jordan Clarkson had 24 points with 3 assists and 5 rebounds in his 33 minutes. The depth is really being stretched here. So keep an eye on the injury report. But if you wanted to get ahead of this, I don't mind going and adding Shamet and or Clarkson. And as we said, Josh Hart, he's not a point guard, but he's going to get more assists. We've seen this in the past. He had 10 assists here to go with 12 rebounds and 12 points. So this is the Josh Hart we saw last year, and they might be forced to play him a little bit more now for the next week or two. All right, game number 3. The Pistons, they continue to win without their players. They beat 76ers 114-105. We will start with the Sixers. Still no Joel Embiid, still no Paul George. We're fully aware of that. So Tyrese Maxey continues his red-hot start to the season. 31 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals. I think he's probably still like a top 6 player. I don't think a performance like this would change too much other than his poor shooting. VJ Edgecombe had 18 points with 7 rebounds of steal. So good to see him back scoring the basketball. It had been a bit of a struggle over the last couple of weeks. Kelly Oubre left this game as well with an injury. 15 minutes only for him. I'd hold him until we get word on missed time and what's going to happen here. Trendon Watford started again, only 14 minutes. He had 5 points. Look, if you're holding him, I don't mind it, especially if Kelly Oubre misses time here, then they're going to have to lean into Watford a little bit more. Drummond, we know we're rostering him until Embiid is back. Quentin Grimes, only 9 points, but 32 minutes. Make sure he's rostered. I don't know why he wouldn't be. The player I'd be considering here, though, as a flyer is Barlow. Dominic Barlow. So he started the season, if we remember back about a month. He was the starting power forward, I guess, small forward / power forward, not Trendon Watford. And then he cut his elbow, I think, and was out for, 3 weeks. So I don't know what he did to it, but it must have been a decent job that he did. But he had 29 minutes here, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, 3 assists, 2 threes. And he was a pickup to start the season when we sort of had a look at what they were doing with their rotation. Barlow we were sort of recommending him as a pickup. So I don't mind grabbing him here. And if Oubre misses time, I think you absolutely have to give Barlow a look. Justin Edwards, who was really good in the last game, he had 13 points. Not much else, 17 minutes. They'll play him when he's hot, and when he's not, they won't. I would prefer Barlow over him, I think. For the Pistons, they were without Cade. They were without Jalen Duren. They were without Asar Thompson. Jaden Ivey is still out. Tobias Harris is still out. So, I mean, they're basically without their starting five. You could argue that Duncan Robinson might be a starter for them, but they just keep getting it done with their fringy kind of, I won't say no names, but Duncan Robinson has been good. We roster him. Denise Jenkins had 19 points with 8 assists. Cade was close tonight, so I do think that Cade will be back in the next game or two. But until that point, you can hold Jenkins. Javonte Green had 21 points with 9 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal. We've seen him do this in short spurts before. So again, while all these players are injured, he's fine. Ron Holland really hasn't made the most of his opportunity. And it's really been on the offensive end that he's struggled. 4 of 15 from the field. So if you're punting field goal percentages, he's not too bad. Paul Reed, he started again, 10 points for him, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 steals. We know the story. Once Duren is back, Paul Reed will be a drop. Until Duren is back, Paul Reed is a hold. Isaiah Stewart returned. He had 14 and 7 off the bench. They obviously just want to keep him as the backup. So once Duren is back, it will be Paul Reed who will almost fall out of the rotation, probably. Isaiah Stewart will stick in his 20, 22, 24-minute-a-night role. And he's probably a must-roster player, believe it or not. Karis LeVert had 14 points in his 23 minutes. He will go back to being nothing at all once they are healthy. All right. The Sacramento Kings. Well, welcome. All right, let's get into this game. But before we do, let's do the ad read, shall we? FanDuel, they do sponsor this show and all of the shows, I think, on the Old Man Squad. Sportsbook.fanduel.com is the website. Talked about the MVP voting yesterday. I think it's going to be a very interesting race. Defensive Player of the Year, potentially not so much. Wemby is a pretty hot favourite in the Defensive Player of the Year betting at the moment. Chet is second, closely followed by Evan Mobley and Dyson Daniels. It's not going to be Dyson Daniels this year. The novelty has worn off from him, I think. Fairly certain it won't be. I think it will be Wemby. I really don't see who else it could be at this point. Rookie of the Year, Cooper Flagg is still the favourite. I think rightfully so. He has settled. But Con Knippel has pushed his way into the second spot in the betting there, ahead of VJ Edgecombe and Cedric Howard. So, if you want to get a bit of money on Con Knippel, I mean, LaMelo returned today and Knippel was fantastic. We'll talk about that game in a minute. But, yeah, some interesting odds there. Head over to sportsbook.fanduel.com and get those wagers on. All right, let's head into the next game, which is the Sacramento Kings losing again to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They were actually competitive in this one for 3/4 of the game, and then the Wolves sort of blew them away at the end. Look, Russell Westbrook started, sure. Precious Achiuwa started, sure. I think this just tells you everything you need to know about Sacramento. They just don't know what to do. I don't think Westbrook. I don't think he's a must-roster player, but he's close. I think if you don't care about percentages or turnovers, then he usually just gets high-volume stats. Points, not so much, but assists and steals, we know who he is. DeMar DeRozan had 6 points. That's a couple of really bad ones for him. Possibly a bit of a buy low if you're interested in him. Personally, I'm not. Precious Achiuwa had 4 points with 3 steals in 20 minutes, not really treating him as anything other than a streamer. Dennis Schroeder moved back to the bench and actually had one of his better games, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal. So, I don't know. If he continues to come off the bench but plays 28 to 30 minutes, maybe you go and add him. Keon Ellis had 4 steals and a block in his 22 minutes. He could very well move into the starting lineup in the next game or two. Malik Monk failed to score in his 16 minutes. I honestly, I'm not really interested in anyone on this roster. I mean, if you drafted Levine, DeRozan, or Sabonis, I guess they're probably the 3. I really just don't think you can move off them for anything but pennies on the dollar. You're not going to get value back because of what's happening in Sacramento right now. So I think you just have to hold them and hope that despite the poor performances by the team, they figure things out. Timberwolves, move this up here. Not really a lot to talk about. When they're healthy, their starting 5 are all worth rostering. Julius Randle continues to be very, very good. And then you look, old Mike Conley there with his 18 minutes, 6 points, 3 assists, 1 steal. We're not interested in him other than streaming from when the schedule is favourable. Even Naz Reid, I mean, the numbers here are good, 12 and 12, 2 steals, 2 blocks. I think this says more about the opposition than Naz Reid. But only 25 minutes. He's rostered everywhere. But his ceiling is pretty limited as long as Randall and Gobert are healthy, which at the moment they are. All right. And the Charlotte Hornets. So I mentioned Con Knipple in the FanDuel read there. He had 32 points with 3 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, 4 threes, 41 minutes. Now, is this a sell high? Look, maybe, because I think what's old mate's name? Brandon Miller will be back soon, possibly within a week. Ryan Kalkbrenner was also out in this one. Not that he impacts offensive stuff too much, but he's certainly a name that we're aware of. So, yes, if you've got Con Knipple, you could try and sell him. I'm not sure anyone's buying those, so probably just enjoy it. Bridges was very good again. Diabate had 15 and 11 in a start. Even when he's coming off the bench, he's borderline must roster anyway. Sion James, 12 points, 5 steals. That's actually pretty good for him. The minutes have been there. The production's been, I'd say, underwhelming, but this is encouraging. So if you've got him, hold him by all means. LaMelo Ball returned, only played 27 minutes, likely on a minutes restriction. I didn't hear anything. I was out when the game started, so I didn't hear or read anything about whether he was on a minutes restriction, but I would assume that was the case because he wasn't in foul trouble. And I thought he was playing well enough. He had 16 points with 10 assists. So good to have him back. Hopefully he can stay on the floor for longer than a week. But probably the bigger takeaway there is the fact that Colin Sexton only played 16 minutes. 14 points and 4 assists in 16 minutes is good. But if he's only going to play 16 minutes to 20 minutes per night, he's probably going to end up being more of a streamer. I would hold him maybe for 1 or 2 more games. I'm pretty sure they have a back-to-back coming up, whether they play. Let's have a look. Do they play tomorrow? They do play tomorrow. So, yes. So if you've got Sexton, I would hold him because I would be surprised if LaMelo plays tomorrow. But I would think that Sexton will step up and play a bit more. So I would hold him. Trey Mann had 9 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Hold him for tomorrow as well. All right, for the Bucks. Did I even say the score in this one? The Bucks got the win in the end. It did go into overtime, and then the Hornets went home, 147 to 134. I think it was 130. I want to say 132 or 134 apiece at full time, and then the Hornets just, as I said, they just went home. So for the Bucks, let's start with Kyle Kuzma. 29 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 1 block, 2 threes. He's been very good the last week. So credit where credit is due. I think you just have to roster him. Beware of what's coming, but for now, has to be rostered. AJ Green had 13 points. He's just a 3-point streamer. Ryan Rollins, 20 points. No steals for him. He usually gets you 1 or 2 of those, but he had 8 rebounds and 4 assists. Giannis had 25 points and 18 assists. Now, I don't know if that's a career high, but it would have to be close. He may have a 20 assist game somewhere in his career, but yeah, very impressive. Miles Turner continues to be arguably the worst rebounder for his size in the NBA. 3 rebounds for him. 18 points is nice, but 0 steals, 0 blocks to go with those 3 rebounds is a bit empty. We had a Gary Harris sighting, 23 minutes for him, 10 points. This was more of a situational kind of, we need some defense down the stretch, so we're not rushing to add him. With Gary Trent moving to the bench, now I don't know if this is going to be a thing or whether it was a one-off. He's holding for one more game, but if he's going to come off the bench and play minutes in the low 20s, then he can be dropped. And Bobby Portis, he's sort of a soft hold, but as long as Giannis is healthy, then yeah. And they may also be on a back-to-back, actually. Let me check. The Bucks do play the Lakers tomorrow. So if you do have Giannis, just be aware that he may not play tomorrow given everything that's happened this season. So if you've got Bobby Portis, hold him for tomorrow and hopefully he gets that bump that we usually see. All right, next game, Portland. They fall to the Rockets pretty comfortably in the end in this one, 140 to 116. One of their poorer performances, I think. Shaden Sharp, Drew Holiday, Deni Avdija, Tamani Kamara, they're all fine. Kamara's been a little bit empty. He had 0 steals, 0 blocks, 0 assists in this one. Shot the ball a little bit better. He's a hold, but he's been slightly underwhelming. Donovan Clingan, speaking of underwhelming, 8 rebounds, 0 blocks, 0 steals, 4 of 9 from the field. I think I popped something on Twitter earlier. He's roughly the 140th player over the last 2 weeks. I'm holding him, but I'm holding him in leagues where I'm punting points. So that, I mean, the field goal percentage is certainly not helping me at all. And he's actually not blocking a lot of shots. He's averaging something like 1.3 for the season, which, I don't know, that's for a guy that size, I think he's really been exposed by other teams and not playing starters minutes. I mean, there's no reason that he shouldn't be playing starters minutes here other than the fact that he's not good enough and he gets played off the court, which was my worry for him. It's my worry for Zach Edey. It was a little bit of my worry for Kalkbrenner, although I will say at Summer League I thought he looked okay in terms of being able to switch out. Clingan, I haven't seen it yet. So, yeah, I'm a little bit worried about him. I'm holding him, as I said, in leagues where I'm punting points. But if you're not punting points, I think you can drop him. Honestly, I mean, maybe that's a bit premature, but for a guy that's averaging like 8 rebounds and 1.3 blocks, I'm pretty sure you can stream that. I guess the risk is, what if Clingan at some point moves into a 30-minute-a-night role? I'm just not sure that happens. Jeremy Grant had 13 points with 3 assists. This is the Jeremy Grant that we are used to seeing. He is still a hold, but certainly not one of his better games. Robert Williams, we're not rostering him anywhere. 4 points, 3 rebounds in his 15 minutes. And for the Rockets, Tari Eason only played 11 minutes in this one, left the game with a hip injury. So what does that mean? Well, nothing in terms of the result here because they won comfortably. But it probably does mean that Josh Okogie could see a few extra minutes. Jeff Green and Jayshawn Tate are probably going to come into the rotation, and they did play in this one, although it was in garbage time. Amen Thompson was nice in this one. The shooting, again, continues to be a bit up and down. Okogie had 4 steals. If he can push to 25 minutes, he might be worth streaming in until Eason is back. Durant was great. Jabari Smith, very nice. Şengün, phenomenal. Reed Shepherd continues his very nice sort of a month into the season breakout. 13 points for him, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, 3 threes. 26 minutes. Without Eason, they go small a little bit more. So maybe Reed Shepherd. I don't think this increases his ceiling as such. So I don't think he's going to move into a 30-minute-a-night role. But it could clear the path for him to play 26 plus, where before it was probably somewhere between 23 and 26. Maybe now it's 25, 26. So I think just that path to minutes might be a little bit clearer. Steven Adams had 11 rebounds. He's just a blocks. Sorry, not a blocks. Oh, he did have 2 blocks, but he's a rebound streamer and nothing else. And you can see there, Green, Tate, they played 4 minutes and did nothing. So this isn't a situation where any of those guys are pickups. The only guy who might force their way into that discussion is Josh Okogie. All right. The Los Angeles Lakers, they get a pretty comfortable win over the Pelicans. The Pelicans are now 2-10 for anyone keeping score. For the Lakers, it was Luka, it was Austin Reeves doing all the damage. Marcus Smart, he's been really good the last couple of weeks. Make sure he's rostered. Rui Hachimura had 14 points. No, you don't need to be holding him. DeAndre Ayton had 20 and 16. Look, really nice for him. Didn't get to the free throw line, of course, but yeah, look, a little bit like the situation where, who did I mention earlier? Someone against Sacramento. Anyway, I think this has more to do with the opposition than DeAndre Ayton. It is a nice game after his last one. So, yeah, if you are holding him, you appreciate these performances. But the fact that the Pelicans are running out Kevon Looney at centre, that probably tells you everything you need to know. Jake LaRavia had 5 defensive stats in his 22 minutes. We're not holding him. LeBron is pretty close, so we can move on. And no one else on this bench is really of any interest. For the Pelicans, Jeremiah Fears continues to be very good. Herb Jones was better in this one, which is great because I had a lot of people asking me, how long do we hold? How long do we hold? The issue for me with dropping him is that his role is very secure. They want to play him 30, 32 minutes a night. And yes, his value is up and down, but it's hard to find a guy on the waiver wire that has a very secure starting role. 13 points for him in this one, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 3. Shot the ball poorly, but the other numbers are good. Sadiq Bey had 11, 7, and 7. I think he's a hold. I'm not sure I'm in the majority there, but I think he is a soft hold until Zion is back. Shot the ball poorly here, but again, he's playing big minutes. Trey Murphy had 35 points. Poor Trey Murphy. Playing really well on a team that sucks. Kevon Looney, he started at center. God knows why. Derek Queen had 9 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and a block in his 29 minutes. So that is what we're looking at with Derek Queen, is that playing time, and 29 minutes is more than enough for him to be rostered. Alvarado had 8 points in his 21 minutes, just a streamer. Yves Missi, 0 points in 10 minutes. And I assume he's going to move back into that starting role at some point. But he's pretty hard to hold, isn't he? I think we can just move on from Yves Missi. All right. The second to last game, the Clippers and the Mavericks. Like I said, this one went way too long. The Clippers, they do get the win, 133 to 127 in double overtime. First, I'm just going to say the NBA has way too many timeouts. I mean, it was painful watching this one. It was basically a time. One period there, I think it was to end regulation. There was a timeout like every 45 seconds. It was stupid. So I know it's not going to happen, but man, way too many timeouts. James Harden had 41 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists. Great game for him and great season continues. Chris Dunn, with no Bradley Beal, with no Kawhi Leonard, he is someone that's I think he's worth rostering. Obviously, he's a little bit stat dependent. If you don't need steals, you probably don't need to roster him. But he had 9 points. He had 5 assists to go with 2 steals and a block. So in most leagues, he should be on a roster somewhere. John Collins started, had 8 points. He started this game really well, looked aggressive, energetic, and then sort of just faded and didn't do much. He had some fouls going on as well. He's still a hold. Derek Jones had 15 points, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Probably a hold as well. A guy that's going to play starters minutes again, much like Herb Jones. Zubac's good game for him. Bogdanovic had 21 points off the bench. He's probably flirting with 12 team value again. Interestingly, no Chris Paul, so he is officially washed, as is Brook Lopez. And of course, Ty Lue came out after the last game and said, we're going to get these sort of our second, third units into the rotation a bit more. I'm going to have to give them minutes. And he played Sanders 14 minutes and Jordan Miller 11 minutes. So, of course, never believe Ty Lue is the biggest takeaway there. For the Mavericks, yes, Brandon Williams was bad in this one. I tried to talk him up, but I can't lie. He was poor in this one. Shot the ball poorly, 7 points, 5 assists, 2 steals in 18 minutes. No, he is not a drop. He started. This was simply a situation where D'Angelo Russell was playing very, very well, and they went with him to close the game, and it then went into double overtime. So it just makes Russell look better and Williams look worse. Christie had 10 points, 7 rebounds. He's still borderline hold. Cooper Flagg, yeah, look, I'm not going to talk about him. He's fine. Najee Marshall has been good over the past week. Of course, no PJ Washington here, no Anthony Davis. So once they are both back, Marshall will be a drop, but for now you can hold him. Daniel Gafford had 10 and 8 with 3 blocks in his 27 minutes. Derek Lively returned, 4 points for him with a steal and a block, 5 rebounds in 17 minutes. This whole center rotation is going to get really messy in Dallas because Anthony Davis will come back. PJ Washington, both of those guys can play center at times, as well as Gafford, as well as Lively, as well as Musa Cisse, who is playing really well. Are they going to continue to find minutes for him? I don't know, but that's 5 potential centers. At the moment, I still think Lively is the one that they want as their starter of the future, but there's just so much happening in the background here at Dallas at the moment. I'm honestly not sure. I would hold Gafford. As for Lively, he's probably a hold. If you can get away with holding him, I would for another week and see what happens. Does he move into the starting lineup? It just seems like they're managing minutes for him, for Gafford, all the time. That always seems to be an issue. Gafford, obviously, 27 minutes here, but this went into double overtime. So that's why at the end of regulation, he was at whatever that is, like 16 minutes. So, yeah, it ended up looking like a really good game, but I would monitor this moving forward. D'Angelo Russell, as I said, he just played really well, 28 points. Off the bench, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. This would be the definition of chasing if you were to go and add him. In saying that, maybe this can turn into a week of value, but I would still certainly have Brandon Williams as my preferred target. Klay Thompson had 13 points. He is just a 3-point streamer. And the last game, so we're just going to have to bring this one up because this game hadn't finished, and that was the Warriors and the Spurs. Let's just fix all this up, get it to the right spot. Warriors get the win, by the way. 109 to 108, I believe it was. In the end, it was. So Steph Curry, sell high. I think so. 49 points for him. 2 steals. Could be the shoes. He was wearing Kobe's, I believe. I don't know if he played in them, but I know he had them on during the warm-ups. Obviously, the whole Under Armour thing that's happened in the last 24 hours. So, yeah, sell high on Steph? Sure, why not? Moses Moody had 4 points. Don't need to roster him. Will Richard had 10 points. Don't need to roster him. Draymond, we do hold Draymond. We know who he is and what he brings. Al Horford, no thank you. Brandon Pajemski, look, 30 minutes again. That's sort of starter level minutes. He's been pretty inconsistent. Kuminga was not here, was not available in this one. So I think Pods is probably a soft hold at best. Look at Buddy Hield there, 0 points in 14 minutes. So that's good old Buddy Hield. For the Spurs, De'Aaron Fox, probably his best game, or not even probably, easily his best game. 24 points, 10 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. So good to see him doing a little bit more. Steph Castle, so, I mean, when the assists go up for one guy, they're going to come down for another. 6 assists. So that's still a good number. 9 rebounds, 13 points. Certainly a little bit quieter, but the numbers are fine. Harrison Barnes, hopefully no one's holding him. Devin Vassell had 11 points with 2 steals He is still a hold, but we're viewing him as sort of a back-endy top 100 player. Wemby had 26 and 12 with 3 blocks and a highlight sort of alley-oop to himself off the backboard play, which I think Alex Burns likened it to him playing with his 5-year-old on his Nerf hoop, and that is what it looked like. It was ridiculous. So if you haven't seen it, go and have a look. And look, as they get healthy, these guys on the bench, Champagny, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, Luke Cornett, they all sort of fade into the background, don't they? We don't need to be rostering any of those players at all. Okay, that will do. We are at 35 minutes. I'm happy with 35 minutes. Let's just get back to me. Thank you, everyone. So hopefully this is uploaded by Saturday. Yeah, Saturday morning in the US. I'll hit Dan up. I'll see if I can get him to do it. I will be back with the Saturday recap tomorrow. How many games have we got tomorrow? Let's have a little look ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games tomorrow. A nice early one here in Australia, 9 a.m. Memphis and Cleveland tip-off. So only 5 games. So tomorrow's show a little bit quicker, which I appreciate, and I'm sure you will appreciate as well. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please do go and follow me at AdamKing91. At Old Man Squad is where we all are found. And I will be back tomorrow. I'm Adam King. Of course, I'm Adam King. This has been Stuff It, a fantasy basketball podcast. We are done.